Are you looking to play a Pact of the Chain Warlock and wondering what familiar you should pick? Well, you're in luck, because behind today's secret door, 5 reasons why you should not pick the Sprite. So behind today's secret door, 5 reasons why you should not pick the Sprite as a Pact of the Chain Warlock. This is Secret Door, a channel devoted to in-depth discussion about Dungeons and Dragons, and my name is Matt Morich. Okay, so let's make something perfectly clear here before I get started with this. I have nothing personally against the Sprite. I love the Sprite from a role-playing perspective. Mechanically, though, it's not what you should pick. And if you do pick it, it's still going to be way more useful in most cases than a standard familiar, but not in all cases, unfortunately. But in most cases, it will be much more useful. But it's just in comparison to what it could be with the other familiars. That's what this list is really based on. So what are the 5 reasons why you shouldn't pick the Sprite? Number 1 is really obvious. It's staring you right in the face. Hit points. The Sprite has 2 hit points. 2 hit points is enough that, well, it's not enough. 2 hit points is not enough at all. 1 hit of any kind should kill you. It's basically a flying balloon. It'll get popped. 2 hit points just isn't going to cut it. Now, that's more than a normal familiar. But the difference between 1 and 2 from a practical standpoint is essentially nothing. 1 hit in almost all circumstances will kill the familiar. So in comparison, both the imp and the quasit both fly, are both invisible, as the Sprite can be. But they also have more hit points, a lot more hit points. And they have resistances and immunities to the most common damage types in the game. And those immunities are what really, really matter. And especially in the imp's case, that has 10 hit points, when you're talking about even resistances at that point, those resistances matter because now that 10 hit points is worth effectively twice as much. And immunities, well, that's all the better. So from a mechanical standpoint, this is an enormous deficiency for the Sprite. And it really shouldn't be overlooked. AoEs are pretty common in D&D. The number 3 reason why not to take the Sprite is the reason that you're probably wanting to take the Sprite, other than role-playing. The mechanical reason to take the Sprite is the bow, that arrow attack that does the inflicts the poisoned condition on a failed Constitution save and has the chance to render the target unconscious on a failed save if the result is 5 or less. And that is the rub here. That sleep result is on a result of 5 or less on the saving throw, not a roll of 5 or less. So Constitution modifiers count in the result. So you're effectively looking at a 5 to 10% chance in most cases, in your best case scenario, of rendering a target unconscious, and in many cases, 0 chances. If the target has a +2 or +3 con modifier, and if they're proficient in a con save, the chance is 0. If they have a high con, the chance is 0. And the more reliable effect, the inflicting the poisoned condition, that's a very effective and useful debuff on the enemy, except that an enormous amount of the enemy are immune to the poison condition. Constructs, all undead, all devils, all demons, and I believe virtually any creature that deals with poison, like inflicts poison, is going to be immune to the poison condition. That's a big part of the D&D enemy community. It's just not going to be affected by the Sprite's attack at all. So when you combine that with the fact that you're depending on a failed con save for that to even happen to begin with, now this is presuming that you're taking investment of the Chain Master to pull all this off. So you're going to be using your DC. So there you have let's say there's a 50-50 chance of them failing their save. This is not a reliable attack. After 5th or 6th level, the Sprite is not going to be effectively going to be hitting, even out of invisibility with advantage, as often as you would like. So you're going to have a significant chance to miss, and then you're going to have a 50-50 chance of failing of a failed save. So let's call it 50-50 both times. That means 1 out of 4 rounds, you might inflict the poison condition, and you never know when that round is going to come. And you're spending a bonus action, and you spend an invocation to do this. Now, investment in the Chain Master is a whole different topic, but it speaks to the efficacy of that invocation in general at higher levels. I think it's a very good invocation to take at low levels, from 3 to 6. Then I think you should trade it out. But with the Sprite, you're not doing any damage at all with the Sprite. I mean, not really. You're doing it for a failed save. I don't think when you're having to hit and make a failed save, that's a very bad combination. A spell is usually a save or suck spell. It's save or suck. That's the 50-50. You've got a 50-50, then a 50-50. Not good. And the number 4 reason why not to take the Sprite, it's not a huge reason to not take the Sprite. To me, I think it's important, which is why it's on the list. It's got the lowest strength by a significant portion compared to the other. I mean, literally the strength score compared to the other familiars. It can carry roughly half of what the other familiars can. When you are dealing with these kinds of familiars, how much they can carry, how much they can lift and move around is a significant thing. Now, it's not a deal breaker, but it is something to consider. And the fact that that's thrown into this whole mix is why it's reason number 4. And the number 5 reason why not to take the Sprite, the final nail in the coffin for all of this, as far as I'm concerned, the Sprite doesn't have dark vision. So as a scout, which is a chief and primary reason why you take familiars to begin with, and one of the great reasons of having an invisible familiar, is that it will be able to be an effective scout. Well, it doesn't even have dark vision. Now, that isn't always going to be a big problem, but it's a problem. And again, when we compare this to what we could be having with, say, the Sprite the Imp or the Quasit, you're not talking about just dark vision. In the Imp's case, you're talking about Devil Sight. So it's, again, you're picking the Sprite out of role-playing. If you're taking the Sprite out of role-playing considerations, that does trump everything. But a list like this wouldn't matter to begin with. If you're looking for mechanical advantages one way or the other from one familiar to the next, I hate to say this, but the Sprite is clearly the worst. That being said, as I said earlier, it's still more effective in general, but that lack of dark vision, it's not even as good as the owl. But in general, it's got other things going for it that are way better than your standard familiar. So you will still be having a familiar, which is great, and it will be much better than a regular familiar, which is even better, but it could be even better, more reliable, not getting taken away from you from a DM whose job is to take things like that away from you when they can. Now, all that being said, if that's what you want to do, don't let a video like this ruin your day. You're picking it out of role-playing purposes. That's what the game is about. But if you are talking about looking for that mechanical edge, that's what a video like this, I hope, is going to help you with. So if you enjoyed the video, if you found it useful, helpful, please like, please share, please subscribe. Until next time, I cast bless on all of you.